Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed.
Well, this is exciting. I just got the brand new, yeah, looks like it is. It's a Fold 6. Okay, but the reason you are here today, okay, let's talk about this. This is the S24 Ultra and this is the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And this video is extremely difficult to make because these are arguably two of the best phones on the market right now that you can buy. But let's get real here. Which one should you buy?
All you gotta do is leave it better than.
I feel like I'm in a unique position to talk about these phones. You see, a lot of people talk smack about either one of these phones when they haven't actually used both. I've genuinely used both of these phones throughout the entire year, and I genuinely love these phones, which I guess puts me in a little bit of a good position to actually compare these two. I just got out of my car and my kids or family are all playing in the playground. Which one? Samsung or iPhone? Which one are you taking? Samsung? Oh my goodness. All right, honey, which one? Samsung or iPhone?
I gotta say, this is pretty.
This is such a nice color, right? It's like purple. All right, Samsung or iPhone? Samsung? Yeah. You too? Okay, which one are you taking? iPhone or Samsung? Samsung, you too?
Never stressed. Got that sunshine on my Sunday bed.
Okay, we're in the studio now, guys. My studio is like legit like a huge mess. Like I can't even show you guys like what's going on in here, but I'm just gonna get everything ready right now and then we're gonna talk about the actual phone.
It's okay. Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, walk around the neighborhood. Feeling blessed.
Okay, now that I'm all set up, let's talk about this. Firstly, guys, like, I mean, I feel the exact same way. This color is absolutely phenomenal. Probably one of the best colors I've seen on a phone. It's this really dark purple that looks black from certain angles, and it's just so nice along with this titanium sides and everything like that. I think like hands down, this is one reason to maybe even get this phone. Like I haven't seen a color as beautiful as this in a very long time. Okay, so I have both phones with me right here. And the first thing that I want to talk about today is build quality. In terms of build quality, both phones are honestly fantastic. Like I'm really glad that both of these phones don't have that curved edge screen that Samsung used to do in the past. Like I used to get ghost touches all the time and it was less than ideal. But look, without the curved screen, this phone feels fantastic to hold. It's got this really slight curvature on the edges, not on the actual screen, but the sides of the phone, which allows the phone to really fit nicely into your hands. Like both phones now have that titanium side bezel, which also allows it to shed a little bit of weight, but also it feels really nice to hold. But in terms of holdability, I gotta give it to Samsung. Very slight curvature on the edges versus the iPhone is like literally just flat bottom here on the sides, and it's a little bit sharp in fact. But Apple then fires back with the corners. Like, okay, just take a look at these corners, okay, on camera. Like you see how this is like curved over here versus the Samsung? My goodness, this is, it's sharp. This is basically a shank. And what makes it even more apparent is when this is like in your pocket, like because it's like somebody walking down the street and you see this in their pants, you know it's an S24 Ultra.
Brother, what's that?
And the other thing is if you're using these phones for long enough, the S24 Ultra, like the sharp edge, literally you're gonna like cut yourself over here. Like it just digs into your palm and it actually feels uncomfortable if you're holding the phone this way. Versus the iPhone corners are curved, allowing a more smoother experience in this regard. But next let's talk about displays because display quality is probably the most important thing when it comes to phones. And at first glance, they both have OLED panels and everything pops and they're large and they have that 120 Hz refresh rate. But the more you start to use them over time, you start to notice these subtle differences, and it's mostly because of the design cues and how they chose to build these phones. The flat panel on the iPhone feels a little more uniform. They have the dynamic island cutout above, which blends well into the entire UI and user experience of the actual phone, whereas the Samsung feels like they're trying to pack as much content into their screens as possible. It has a much noticeably smaller cutout up top. It's taller, more rectangular rather than that that curved look that the iPhone has, allowing for better screen fill of content, bleeding into the very edges of the phone. It literally maximizes the content. And if you start nitpicking into the actual displays, the Samsung is actually slightly sharper at 505 ppi versus the iPhone has 460 ppi. And until last year, the iPhone was actually king in brightness, but Samsung just beat it with this year coming in at 2600 nits peak brightness versus the 2000 nits peak brightness on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, they both have their pros and cons, but I think the slight edge here goes to Samsung because even though the dynamic island does not bother me much at all, there's something to be said about that having that small hole punch cutout. Also, I gotta give brownie points to Samsung for building a fingerprint sensor into the screen. It does come in surprisingly handy a lot of the time. Next, I want to talk about some special features. These are things that make either of these phones special and unique in their own way. It's that special DNA that really makes people go iPhone fanboy or Samsung diehards. Like, there's no middle ground, okay? First and foremost, I gotta say is this guy, S Pen. I can't tell you how much I love this S Pen. When you're carrying a phone that's this big around, like this is phablet territory, you gotta have some extra benefits, okay? And whether it's using this S Pen to help me edit videos in CapCut on the go, or sign contracts on the go, or doing silly markups just to send to friends, this thing came in clutch. The S Pen also works like a remote trigger. Like there's a button on here that I can press in order to actually activate the camera, which is neat. So if you're having like family photos, just position your phone away and use the S Pen. But where the iPhone starts to fight back is when it comes to ecosystem. That is probably like the most cliche thing you could probably say about Apple, right? Ecosystem. I just feel bad saying it, but look, at the end of the day, I mean, Apple does have a slight lead here, and that is partially because of third-party support, because a lot of these companies, when building apps and stuff like that, will always design for iOS first and then bring it over to Android. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a situation where I've been dealing like this S24 or the Pixel or the Fold 5, and there's certain apps or features or products that I could not use on Android because the brand just hadn't ported them over to the Google Play Store yet. But other than the third-party stuff, when it comes to actual first-party products and support, I will say this, Samsung has done a lot in this regard, and I think they are trying their best to catch up. But look, other than that, when we're looking at the actual phones, in terms of speakers and stuff like that, they're both fantastic. The iPhones sound a little bit more fuller, I'd say, but I mean, both speakers are really good. One good thing is the S24 Ultra does support fast charging up to 45 watts, whereas the iPhone 15 Pro Max only supports it up to 25 watts, and that too even due to USB-C finally coming to the iPhone, thank God. S24 Ultra can also power share, which the iPhone cannot do. There's something oddly satisfying about reverse charging your AirPods Pro or even the iPhone itself on the Samsung. It's like the world's most expensive wireless charger. But one of the biggest pros to the S24 Ultra, in my opinion, is how Samsung treats multitasking, right? Apple has ways to go here. Like, why don't we have split screen support yet on the iPhone? Like, the screen is big enough for this feature. Now, I would also include like Airdrop and stuff like that here, but Samsung does now have its own version called Quick Share, and you also have Nearby Share from Android, which really opens up sharing options across more devices. But the iPhone has one key feature that I absolutely love, and that is MagSafe out of the box. I think it's a huge differentiating factor for the iPhone, and I'm so glad that they actually invented this, because all sorts of different accessories and use cases make this phone much more usable, whether you're using it for camera equipment or just in your car or charging at home. But luckily, phone case manufacturers have come around to this, and they've come up with solutions, because brands like ESR now make cases for Samsung phones which add MagSafe capability. Speaking of which, ESR is also the sponsor of today's video. Now, some of the cases you can get from ESR include this hybrid case, as well as this tough case, and you have this soft case. All of these come with something called the stash. Absolutely love this feature. And basically, in the camera bump, they have this little stand, and you can use the stand to basically prop up your iPhone and put it wherever you need to. You can just play something on YouTube and just put your phone to the side here and it'll balance it, which is something that I absolutely dig. It works really well. But let's say, you know what, you don't care about the color and you want something that feels soft, because you like that luxurious feel, then get the soft case. The soft case also looks fantastic, and I think that natural titanium along with the stash case contrasting with the black, this looks really nice, and the soft case might be my favorite actually. But let's say you need something a little more hardcore, you have their tough case. Now this comes with a front screen protector as well as a back screen protector, and if I can get this open, this thing is like Like that's why they called it tough case. It's like tough to open. Yeah, you throw it in here and you basically get like this like insane amount of protection. Like there's nothing getting into this, okay? Like not even me. I don't know, I'm gonna open this again. If you're interested, then go ahead and check out those links in the description down below and support your boy. Pick up some ESR cases. Okay, I wanted to quickly talk about the cameras, but because the weather outside is really nice, I figured why not just go outside and show you guys. So we're gonna take the S24 Ultra. I got the iPhone. Let's go. Okay, so we're outside, it's beautiful right now. Now, this is a juicy topic and really gets people riled up and juices flowing, okay? Because on the iPhone here, we have a 48 megapixel lens versus on the S24 Ultra, we have a 200 megapixel lens. Now, you're probably thinking, Tausif, like 200, this must be like much better. Doesn't really work like that. If you were to actually put both photos side by side, both would look absolutely fantastic. And the average person would not even be able to tell the difference between either of these photos. Now, where you will start to notice a difference is once you really zoom into a picture, or you're trying to blow up a photo and you want to throw it up on the wall or something like that. In that case, yes, the megapixel does make a big difference. Now, I actually did that exact comparison over on my S24 Ultra Day in the Life video, so if you guys want to check that out, you can go to that after this video. Now, one of the most important things when it comes to the camera is the actual colors of the photo. And when it comes to the colors, it's actually funny because, look, so Samsung has like these really contrasty photos and they're a little more saturated right out of the camera, versus with iPhone, they're a little more true to world, accurate representations of what you actually see. I've had this happen like so many times where like I would show a photo to like friends and they would look at it and they'd be like, oh my goodness, what camera or phone this is. And I'm like, guys, this is an S24 Ultra, and they were like blown away. But I don't get that a lot with my iPhone photos, which is weird because I can actually grate the heck out of these iPhone photos. Like the wallpaper packs, those were actually all shot on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. Samsung simply has an advantage here when it comes to the hardware capabilities versus the iPhone with the 10x zoom and like just more zooms period compared to the iPhone. That just opens up the door to a lot more, I guess, creative photos and things you can do. And with a 10x camera and actually somewhat usable 100x zoom on the Samsung, I gotta give the award for photos to Samsung here because it's just much more versatile. The iPhone just can't go toe-to-toe with Samsung when it comes to distance. And I mean, it's just a hardware limitation at this point, right? But when it comes to videos, that's a little bit different.
But you just gotta know it'll all be fine. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Hey, feeling good, like I should. When in dark, I walk around the neighborhood.
Look, when it comes to video, there's no phone on the market till today where I feel as comfortable relying on than the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Like, this thing is absolutely incredible. And this year, I think Apple just took it to another level by adding log recording up to 4K 60 frames per second to an external SSD through the USB-C. Like, there's so many times where I've used footage from the iPhone and just put it into my videos where I'm filming on like professional cameras and nobody even realizes it. In fact, fun story, when I got invited to like the Pixel event for Pixel 8, I believe, I actually took my iPhone to film on and I filmed like the entire event on my iPhone and it was so nice. At the end of the day, it really comes down to, are you a video person or are you a photo person? And that will probably make your decision a lot easier. Now, before I share my final thoughts on both of these phones, I wanted to quickly talk about my user experience with using the phone in day-to-day things and some of the things that I've noticed. And I'd also encourage you guys to actually go out of your comfort zones and try the other side sometimes, because I've personally been doing that more and more this year, and it's been quite refreshing of an experience. And I think it really opens up your mind to the pros and cons of everything that's out there. Now, in terms of battery life, now this is a weird one because the iPhone 15 Pro Max is an absolute disaster for me. Like, I can barely get through a single day unless I'm charging it around 8 p.m. Like, my battery health on this device, it's not even been a year. Like, what? I don't understand what's going on with these phones. As for Samsung's now, they've been known to have worse battery life than the iPhone, but surprisingly, I'd say I've had a similar experience with the S24 Ultra as I did with the iPhone. The battery also kind of drains throughout the day, and I do need to charge it at least by 8 p.m. And I really feel that phone manufacturers have gone backwards in this department. Nonetheless, this one here is a draw. They're both terrible. Okay, now finally, let's talk about my thoughts. Like, even though both of these phones can get quite polarizing, they actually have a lot in common. A few years ago, these differences were far more pronounced. The iPhones were considered to have the best ecosystem, amazing battery life and usage, best-in-class cameras, and what people called simple, minimal software. Whereas Samsung was considered to have the best displays on the market, more versatility in both software and hardware, and of course, Android, which gave you like tons more customizability and widgets and less walled garden sort of stuff, right? But I gotta say, all of these differences I mentioned are much less pronounced these days. And the bottom line is, you will be influenced by what products you're already using or own and what your friends and family are using or own, because it'll just make compatibility easier. For example, iMessage. Apparently this is a big deal. Honestly, not for me, because I pretty much just use WhatsApp and Telegram. Overall, the Samsung feels like a more entertaining and exciting device to use with its creative camera abilities of zooming and stuff like that, S Pen for markups, and that immersive display that goes edge to edge, unlimited customizability, also giving you multitasking capabilities with greater freedom overall with Android. And over on the iPhone side, the app experience and usability just sometimes flat out feels much better. Like, not only are there more apps available, but the actual aesthetics of the way people design apps on the iPhone versus on Android. On the iPhone, it just seems like they have better UI and better aesthetics. I don't know what it is. And things just feel more fluid, and the design elements are minimal, cleaner, giving the iPhone somewhat of a more polished look and feel. Not to mention, as a creator, the iPhone comes in more handy for me personally with Airdrop and log shooting modes and stuff like that. Instagram and other apps also seem to just run better and look better on the iPhone compared to Android. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to what your personal usage and preferences are, and frankly, what you value. So I turn the question back to you guys. Having seen this video and your experience for the past several years, which phone would you prefer and why? Let me know in the comment section down below, and until then, I will see you guys in one of these two videos over here.